Okay, so what if you could give your AI a perfect, almost photographic memory, but you could also be the director, telling it exactly which details to focus on and which ones to just, ignore? Today, we're going to unlock a seriously powerful feature in Amazon Bedrock that does just that. If you've ever wanted to take your AI agent from just being smart to becoming a specialized genius, then you're in the right place. Let's get into it. You know how it is, those out-of-the-box AI tools. They're fantastic, they're powerful, they're fast, but a lot of the time they're a bit too generic, right? When you're working on something really specific, you might find that the standard memory functions are capturing way too much or not enough, or just not the right kind of information. It's kind of like having a professional-grade camera that's permanently stuck on auto mode, when you really need to get in there and tweak the settings yourself to get that perfect shot. And that is exactly what this is all about, switching from auto to manual. Think of the standard AI memory strategies as that auto mode. They do a pretty great job for most situations, no doubt. But for those professional, super specialized results, you've got to switch gears. And in Amazon Bedrock, that manual mode is called the built-in with override strategy. It's your key to unlocking a whole new level of precision. So how do we flip that switch to manual mode? Well, that's where the built-in with override strategy comes into play. It's designed specifically to let you move from that one-size-fits-all approach to a solution that's perfectly tailored to your rules. Now, what's really cool about this is how simple the concept is, but how incredibly powerful the results can be. Instead of just, crossing your fingers and hoping the AI figures out what's important, you're explicitly telling it what to remember. And you even get to tell it which part of its brain, which foundation model, to use for that specific job. We're talking about real fine-grained control here. So, when would you actually use this? Well, let's look at 3 key scenarios. First, for domain-specific extraction. Imagine you're building a travel agent bot. You can instruct it to only capture a user's food preferences and completely ignore any comments they make about clothing. Second, controlling granularity. Think about a customer service bot. Instead of saving a giant transcript of a frustrated call, you can tell it to just summarize it into key points. Issue, billing error. Customer emotion, angry. Action, escalated. See? That's the power of precision. And third, model selection. If you're building a legal assistant, you can choose a model that's been fine-tuned on legal text to make sure you're getting much, much higher accuracy. Okay, so that's the why. Now let's get into the how. Taking control might sound complicated, but Amazon Bedrock actually breaks it down into 2 simple, powerful levers. Let's check out the nuts and bolts. You've basically got 2 main levers you can pull. First, there are the instructions. This is where you modify the system prompt to guide the AI's memory process. And second, there's the model itself, where you can handpick the Amazon Bedrock model that's best suited to carry out your custom instructions. It's a really powerful 1-2 punch for customization. And this table here? It breaks down exactly where you can apply that control for each type of memory strategy. As you can see, for the semantic and user preference strategies, you can customize both the extraction and consolidation steps. For the summary strategy, it's just consolidation. And for the episodic strategy, well, that's where you get the most control. You can tweak extraction, consolidation, and reflection. Here is a perfect example of this in action. The original instruction on the left, it's pretty broad, right? It just tells the AI to extract meaningful information. But look at the right. With one simple addition, a single sentence telling it to focus exclusively on extracting facts related to travel and booking preferences, you've given it a laser-sharp focus. It's such a tiny change, but it has a massive impact on what the AI actually decides to remember. Of course, with this much power comes a little bit of responsibility. To get the best results and, avoid any weird issues, there are some important best practices and pitfalls you need to know about. Let's walk through the critical do's and don'ts. All right, first up, the do's. The most important best practice is to build upon the existing instructions. It's super important to remember that the base structure is there for a reason. It's what makes the whole memory thing work. So your job isn't to start from a blank slate, but to add your specific guidance on top of that solid foundation. And it probably goes without saying, but make sure your instructions are clear and logical. Now for a critical don't, and this one's straight from the source. Do not, I repeat, do not try to change the memory schema definitions inside your prompt. So here's the deal. Think of it like a filing cabinet. Your job is to guide what information goes into the drawers, not to start relabeling the drawers themselves. If you change the schema, the labels on those drawers, the whole system can just break down because it won't know where to store or find information anymore. And here are a few more really important guardrails. Don't go changing the names of core operations, like add memory. As we just talked about, the final output schema is not editable. You also have to provide a specific execution role, the memory execution role ARN. Just think of this as giving Bedrock a special security keycard. It's the explicit permission it needs to manage these memories for you. And one last, very practical point. Any LLM usage for this custom strategy is charged separately to your AWS account, so just be mindful of that. So now you have the strategy, you have the tools, and you have the rules of the road. You can finally move beyond those default settings and start building something truly custom. The big question now is, what are you going to build? The ultimate takeaway here, really, is that this feature empowers you to build highly specialized AI agents. You can create assistants that are true experts in their domains, whether that's finance, or travel, or legal research. Ultimately, you're no longer just a user of the AI. You actually become its teacher, defining exactly what important really means. You now have the keys. You can take manual control over your AI's memory. You can fine-tune its focus, its level of detail, and even the very brain it uses to think. So, the only question left is, what will you build?